Hi guys, sorry if I'm a little mess. I just woke up, but I had to deep dive this for you. For decades, they told us we were crazy. Pilots were grounded, witnesses were mocked, radar operators were silenced, civilians were laughed off television, and then something changed. In recent years, the government that denied everything finally admitted it. UFOs are real. We don't know what they are, and some of them are not ours. Tonight, we're stepping into the shadows of what was seen, what was hidden, and what the government never wanted you to connect. This is Nightly Haven. For most of modern history, the word UFO carried a price. If you said you saw one, you risked your career, your credibility, your sanity. Pilots stopped talking. Radar operators learned to stay quiet. Civilians laughed it off because laughing was safer than believing. Long before the government ever admitted UFOs were real, they made sure no one would believe you if you saw one. And that was the plan. Not to convince the public nothing was happening, but to make sure you would doubt yourself before anyone else had. For decades, the stories were simple. Nothing unusual in the sky, nothing unexplained, nothing worth asking about. And if anyone said otherwise, was mistaken or unstable. In the years following World War II, the skies changed. Pilots began reporting strange lights pacing their aircraft. Commercial crews described objects flying alongside them for miles. Radar operators saw targets appear, vanish, and reappear without explanation. In 1947, a civilian pilot described seeing objects that skipped across the sky like saucers in water. The phrase stuck. Almost overnight, sightings exploded. Military bases logged reports, newspapers ran cautious headlines, and behind closed doors, officials quietly panicked. Because whatever was being seen didn't behave like enemy aircraft. It behaved like nothing they had ever encountered before. The response was swift and deliberate. Instead of denial, the government chose something far more effective: mockery. They dismissed the sightings as weather balloons, swamp gas, optical illusions, mass hysteria. Public investigations were announced and then quietly closed. Behind the scenes, series studied continued, but outwardly the message was clear. There is nothing here, and if you think there is, you're the problem. The term conspiracy theorist became a social warning label. Pilots learned to stop filing reports, scientists avoided the subject entirely, and civilians laughed it off because being wrong was safer than being ridiculed. As decades passed, sightings never stopped. They just went underground. Military personnel were threatened with career consequences, radar logs disappeared, photos were confiscated. Entire encounters were buried under classified stamps. Those who spoke publicly were discredited, some lost jobs, some lost reputations, some withdrew completely, and some were unalived. But that'll be for another day. The pattern was consistent. See something, reported, be told it never happened. As aviation advanced, the excuses stopped making sense. By the late Cold War era, jets could fly faster, higher, and smarter, and still objects appeared to outperform everything. They accelerated without propulsion, turned without inertia, hovered, then vanished. Military analysis knew a terrifying truth. If these were foreign crafts, the technology gap was impossible, which meant they weren't foreign. They weren't ours. The first real crack came quietly. Leaked documents, retired officials speaking carefully, pilots no longer willing to stay silent. Radar data started backing up eyewitness accounts. Multiple systems, multiple confirmations. The story no longer relied on belief. It relied on instrumentation. And instruments don't hallucinate. Off the coast, radar operators began tracking something extraordinary. Objects appeared to be extreme altitude and then dropped to sea level in seconds. Pilots were scrambled. What they encountered wasn't aggressive, it was aware. A smooth white object with no visible means of propulsion. When pilots tried to intercept, the object didn't flee, it responded. Moments later, it vanished, only to reappear in the pilot's classified rendezvous point. That detail shattered every remaining excuse. Someone or something was anticipating human movement. Eventually, denial became impossible. The videos leaked first, then officials confirmed they were real. Not simultaneous, not training exercises, authentic encounters. The language was careful. They didn't say aliens. They said unidentified aerial phenomenon exists. They said some display technology beyond known human capability. They said, "We don't know what they are." After 70 years of dismissal, that was the confession. Documents were released, but not everything. The highest resolution data remained classified. Material analysis remains sealed. Complete radar telemetry remains hidden. The truth was acknowledged but controlled, enough to shift the narrative, not enough to finish it. As attention turned upward, something else emerged. Objects weren't just in the sky, they were entering the ocean and leaving it. No splash, no resistance, no explanation. If these crafts can move between air and water effortlessly, then they have been hiding in plain sight right beneath us. For decades, the lie wasn't that UFOs didn't exist, the lie was that no one was taking them seriously. They were, the entire time. And now, after generations of silence, ridicule, and denial, they finally admitted what witnesses have always knew. The sky was never empty. It was just ignored. Have a good night, guys. Bye.